Of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, before we get started on the episode where I share my thoughts on why I believe Wells Fargo is going to buy Great America, I got to hang up another badge. You know, last week I went to Amplify in Rosemont, Illinois. Let me hang up the badge because I want to make sure that people realize I do get around, I get out there. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm heading to New Mexico to the BTA meeting. I'm really looking forward to that. You'll see some content on the road while I'm there. And folks, tomorrow's episode, I pre-recorded it. And it's all about that Rico brother deal, okay? So tune in tomorrow for that. But today, let's talk about Great America and Wells Fargo. I mean, holy smokes. You know, it's been a while since I brought this up, but I really do believe Great America is going to get sold. I mean, I just believe it's going to get sold. I mean, that's my thinking. And I've talked about it before, just like I talked about Great America selling off collaborants, right? And they would say, oh, no, we're never going to do that. And then they did it. So no matter what they say, you know, whatever the leadership says to the employees about whether or not they're going to sell, you really can't believe them because they did say, they pretty much doubled down the fact that they would never sell collaborants. And of course, I knew that was a silly thing to tell everybody because they sold it, right? But Wells Fargo, why now is the time? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me just read this right off the Wells Fargo website. New details. Wells Fargo confirms the Federal Reserve has removed the limits on growth and total assets imposed in its 2018 consent order and announces a special employee award. Okay, the hell with the special employee award for a second. The bigger news is, well, Wells Fargo can grow. They can go gobble up some more assets. That's what this means, folks. They're going to start growing. And if they're going to start growing, they want to buy people. And we all know Wells Fargo likes to buy things, right? Why not buy Great America? And ladies and gentlemen, you know, if we go back to February of 2024, I did the episode and it says sale coming soon with a bunch of question marks. And I was questioning, you know, is Great America going to sell? I even brought up Wells Fargo as one of the buyers. You know, in that episode, I talked about, well, they got to get rid of collaborants first because no one wants to buy that thing. And guess what? I mean, well, they ended up selling off collaborants. But here's what I want all the employees at Great America, or even the whole industry, to think about. You know, when y'all saw the episode where I was thinking, well, maybe Great America, it's time to sell, and you went and talked to the leaders at Great America, I mean, what did they say? Oh, no, Ray's crazy. We're not selling. Nah, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Well, I don't know if you can believe that because they said the same thing about collaborants, and of course they sold collaborants. So I just want to throw that in there because I think it's relevant, right, to what's going on in the industry and at Great America. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, let's talk about this award that Wells Fargo gave all its people, a couple $1,000. You know, you helped us clean this thing up. Now we can grow again. This is awesome. So here's $2,000. But then I'm thinking, well, if, you know, Wells Fargo likes awards, what better company to buy than Great America? I mean, holy smokes, because they love to get the awards, right? I mean, seriously, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but they like to get these things. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I'm thinking. You know, Wells Fargo, they're probably going to do some due diligence if they're going to buy Great America. And so they go to the Quarter Business Journal, you know, the business journal there at Cedar Rapids, and they're probably trying to check on some stuff. You know, what are they writing about Great America? And then they see how Great America is awarded for the best leasing company. They're like, holy smokes, I thought we were the best leasing company. I mean, Great America has been awarded to be the best leasing company, according to the Quarter Business Journal. Well, if you're Wells Fargo and you think you're the best leasing company, the best thing you can do is take out the company that's getting the award for being the best leasing company. But I will tell you this. You know, when Wells Fargo was doing the due diligence and looking in the Quarter Business Journal, if that's in fact what they were doing, you know what they didn't find in there? Well, they didn't find anything about the big lawsuit. I mean, seriously. And folks, I got to tell you something. I found all the stuff about the lawsuit, but it wasn't in the Quarter Business Journal. It was at the courthouse, okay? But at the end of the day, I think this is kind of a big story that's not in the Quarter Business Journal. You have to ask yourself, well, why is that? And then you could use your imagination for like 2 seconds and figure it out, right? I mean, holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen. But speaking of that lawsuit, you know, ex-president believing that he was wrongfully terminated, the big lawsuit. You saw the 2 episodes I did here on the show, but you know, there was 3 folks that were mentioned in that lawsuit, you know, and those 3 folks are all gone. Obviously, David Pullman, you know, the individual, the ex-president of Great America that filed the lawsuit against Great America for the wrongful termination stuff. And, you know, Matt Mueller was in there. He's gone. And now the CFO, Scott's gone. And so I'm thinking, Did all the troublemakers leave? That's just what I'm thinking. You know, does the new leadership now have his own people in there? You know, hopefully they're not a bunch of yes men and women. Hopefully they'll tell him what he needs to know if he needs to know it, right? But then again, does it even matter? Because if I believe that Wells Fargo's going to buy him, it probably makes sense to get rid of the people that make a lot of money so you can, you know, get a better price for the company when you sell it, maybe. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Great America and their aspirations to be an industrial bank, because they had those at one time. There's a rumor out there they want to do it again, and I'm thinking, man, there's so many things going on in the world of economics that I'm not really sure that they want to be an industrial bank. That might be kind of nutty at this point. Maybe it's time for them just to sell. Because, you know, there's a lot of things going on with the bond market, and we know that the bond market affects securitizations. We know that Great America does these securitizations. They just did one March 17th of 2025 for $692.5 million. You know, that helps get them some money so they can lease it back out, right? Clean it all up, bundle them all together, sell them off, start all over again, build them all up, sell them off. But, you know, when the bond market's having its issues, it affects the investors in the securitization. I just think there's too many, there's just so many things going on. Do you really want to become an industrial bank again? You know, they did at one time, and I wanted to find a little bit out about that, so I reached out to that really smart person at Google, and I mentioned this person before. I mean, this person knows everything about everything. It's totally amazing. His name's Al Overview. But he said, yes, Great America Financial Services, often referred to as Great America Leasing Company, did pursue establishing an industrial bank, specifically Great America Bank, which would have been located in Salt Lake City, Utah metropolitan area. You know, however, Great America Financial Services later withdrew their application. They want to do it, then they don't want to do it. Do they really want to do it again? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to risk your wealth? Great America, you know, the founder of Great America, he built a great company. I mean, he's got to be really proud of it, right? And, you know, now his son's in there taking it over. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, well, maybe we should just cash this thing out. Let's just take the money and run. You got to be thinking this way, right? Seriously. And then if they were going to be an industrial bank at one time and now they're going to do it again, are they going to withdraw again? I mean, there's so many variables. Just sell the company. Folks, I got to tell you, you know, we've all been to the building there. Cedar Rapids, the big Great America sign. And well, let me just show you the slide that I imagined in my mind. Is this the future for Great America? Wells Fargo sign out front and a Wells Fargo truck unloading all the furniture in the building. Because I'm sure Wells Fargo's got their own stuff, right? I mean, this is what I'm thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you know, if Great America says, hey, Ray's out of his mind, we're never going to sell, you know, he might be thinking we're going to sell, but we're damn sure not going to sell. Just go back in time and think to yourself, how did they respond to you when I said they were going to sell Calabrans? And if it was kind of like the same response, then maybe the same outcome's going to happen. Anyway, folks, I got to tell you something. Everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.